week's edition of On the Money with Secure Money with Brian Quaranta. And this week we have Neil Mager joining us. He is one of the senior financial planners. And of course, everyone knows Brian. He's a published author, wrote this wonderful book, Right Track Your Retirement. And we want every single one of you to get a copy. He'll even pay for the shipping and handling. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us, Neil.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Not only senior financial advisor, but director of financial planning. Yes,
You didn't tell me that.
Yes,
Thank you.
I will tell you, he is probably one of the quickest with numbers, the quickest with seeing the problem. You know, when I was the teacher, right, I was very proud to be teaching him. You get to a point where you're going, I think he's getting a little better than me.
The student has become teacher.
Yeah, right. Because, you know, I've had to run the company lately, and I've always tell him, I'm just jealous. I just want to be back in the game. You know, I love financial planning so much. Running the company, let's go find somebody else to do that.
I mean, truly, we have such a great job. I mean, we love what we do.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can tell.
It's unbelievable the joy that we can bring people from what we can show them, right? You know, everybody wants to retire. They don't know how, though.
And that is
Right.
that is not a line. I can't tell you over the last 25 years how many people I have seen cry in the conference room.
Really?
Cry in the conference room, argue in the conference room,
Ooh.
right? Because husband and wife might be talking about things for the very first time. They might be saying, I thought you had more than that saved.
When we were dating, you acted like
So, you know, a lot of times we wind up not only becoming, you know, not only are we financial engineers, but we're
Therapists.
financial therapists.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
I would say like 80% therapists, right?
And I'd say about 80% of people who come into you maybe don't have a rock solid plan.
No.
You know, it's
No,
like
you know,
without a
and what's
plan, how do
interesting
you get anywhere?
is, you know, before we even get into today's topics, I want to address something. You know, I saw this show recently called Fire Your Financial Advisor. And I thought, man, first off, that's an interesting title. That's a really interesting title. I mean, it's definitely got some shock value, right? Yeah. And
I assume a financial advisor is the one that's doing the show.
Yeah, which is a little weird because it's like the financial advisor is
Right.
saying, fire your financial advisor, but come hire me.
Yeah.
But when I first thought I thought it was very interesting because I don't actually believe most people need to fire their financial advisor. You know, I believe that most people need to finally understand what their financial advisor is doing for them.
Yeah.
And I think when someone feels like firing their advisor, it's usually not about performance. You know, markets go up, markets go down, and it's usually about something deeper. It's usually because they're confused.
Right.
Right. And I think the thing that we really try to do, and I think we do a really good job at it, is taking these very complex retirement strategies and making them very simple and easy to understand. And when you hear the comment over and over, like, I get it, this is so easy. Why has anybody shown me this? That's when you know you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we do best is we build certainty into a retirement plan, right? And we all crave certainty in our life.
Yes.
Most people aren't accustomed to working on commission. They've worked on a salary all their life. The last thing they want to do is go into the most important time of their life and switch to a commission type income stream.
I got to elaborate on this because
what do you mean by
so
commission?
I will tell you because him and I were talking one day.
Okay.
And I came into the office and I said, Neil, I had like an epiphany last night. I said, think about it like this. If you're going into retirement and you don't have a guaranteed source of income like a pension or a private pension or Social Security or some type of rental income, and you are now going to rely on the performance of the market to generate your income, that would be like you going out and getting a commission-based job because there's no guarantee that the market's going to perform and give you the income that you need, whereas a private pension, an income annuity, those are like salaries, right?
Right.
And we all would rather have a salary than a commission check.
Yeah.
Would we agree?
100%.
And sometimes we'll hear people say, well, if the market goes down, I just won't take any income that year.
Oh, I'm sure you
Right?
Right.
And it's like, what sense does that make? You're going to stop your life, not do the bucket list of things that you want to do because something out of your control changed that year. And then when do you start taking money again? So if the market goes down by 20, 25, 30%, do you start taking money the following year if it's going up? How do you know the market's going to be up?
Yeah. Well, here's the big box firm's answers. Well, we're going to set enough aside in cash. So you're going to put it in cash with no yield, basically, right? I mean, it's going to earn zero, basically.
Yeah.
And when the markets go down, we're going to pull from the cash. Okay, well, what if the markets are down for a year and a half?
Right.
How much cash are you going to set aside? And then when do you replenish that cash? Because you're going to have to replenish the cash if you used it. And to Neil's point, when do you go back to pulling from the market? Make it way easier than that. If you have 3 buckets of money, bank money, pension money, risk money, and you have enough emergency cash reserves, right? Which is 6 months, okay? And then you put the least amount of money into the pension bucket. That's what we want to do. So if somebody needs, let's say, $30,000 a year, right now, with a little bit of deferral, put $250 in there, we get them $30,000 a year for the rest of their life.
Okay.
Okay? Not only for the rest of their life, but if they die, for the rest of their spouse's life. So now, let's say they had $1 million, okay? And I used $250 to create the $30,000 income they need. That's 25% of their money to generate 100% of their income need.
For the rest of their life.
For the rest of their life. Now, what gets better is the remaining 75% of the money that's in the market, that becomes long-term money. Well, what's going to happen to that money over time? It's going to grow. It's going to go from 750 to 850 to 950 to back to $1 million. Well, what do? We could peel off a little bit more, put more into the private pension, create even more income. This is how it's done. This is where the system in the big box firms are broken, and this is what you don't know is broken because you don't have the information to understand it's broken. And that's why I want you to go to onthemoneyoffer.com right now and get a copy of the book or call 888-382-1298. My team is standing by to schedule a complimentary retirement session with you. But start by just getting the book, onthemoneyoffer.com.
And it doesn't cost you anything, and it'll come in a gold envelope. Very exciting. While you're there getting the book, you can also get an appointment for a complimentary review, and that is a wonderful place to start. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
One of the biggest challenges people face when planning for retirement is simply knowing where to start. Over the years, I've sat with countless families who felt overwhelmed by all the information out there. And that's why I wrote my book, to cut through the noise and give you straightforward strategies to protect your money, avoid unnecessary risk, and build real financial confidence. Inside, you'll find step-by-step guidance on how to structure your retirement income, how to prepare for rising healthcare costs, and how to reduce the impact of taxes. It's not about complicated theories. It's about clear, actionable steps that anyone can follow. And here's the best part. I'd like to send you a complimentary copy of my book. No cost, no obligation, just real information that could make a difference in your retirement. This book has helped thousands of people better understand how to secure their financial future. If you're in that 5 to 10 year window of retirement, or you're already retired and you want to make sure you're not missing something, this book is for you. Call Secure Money Advisors today or visit us online at securemoneyadvisors.com to claim your complimentary copy today.
All right, hope you had a chance to go order that book. Again, it is absolutely free. We just can't wait for you to read that. Let's continue, if you don't mind, that discussion about the bucket strategy, because you're so good at keeping things simple. And the 3 buckets. So one is for savings, one is more risky, let's...
Bank, pension, risk. That's how you run it.
Bank, pension, risk.
Yeah.
And the other night, Brian, I had somebody asked a question at one of our educational events, and what they had asked was, well, how do you identify what goes in that red risk bucket?
Yeah.
And I said, it's very, very simple. If it goes up in value or down in value, it goes in that red bucket. Because a lot of times you'll hear people say, come in from the big box, and they say, well, I have a diversified strategy. I got stocks, bonds. So I started naming some things. Okay, let's identify if it goes in that red bucket. Do stocks go up in value or down in value? Yes. Mutual funds? Yes. Bonds? No. So a lot of folks in the crowd said that bonds do not go down in value. Well, you could make a case for an individual bond, but most people do not buy individual bonds. Most people buy bond funds. And so if you look at a diversified strategy, like a few years back in 2022, they followed each other down, stocks and bonds.
Because they used to do this.
Yeah, they used to be non-correlated.
Gotcha. But now they are.
They correlate a lot now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we saw bonds lose 15, 18%.
Yeah.
A lot of funds in 2022. So that is not a safe strategy. Once again, that is a commission income structure if that is considered your safe money as part of your plan. Yep. So our strategy is very, very simple. To Brian's point, we use that pension bucket and build pure certainty or guarantees of some sort.
And the way I like to look at that pension bucket is really simple. Do we insure our cars?
Yes.
Do we insure our homes?
Yes.
Do we insure our health?
Yes.
You get the point, right?
Yeah.
Why would we not insure the most important thing we're all going to need, and that's guaranteed monthly income? Because the only few choices you have to try to generate cash flow is you can use the market, but you're going to be at the mercy of whether it's up or down. And then there's no guarantee of whether or not you're going to have money or not have money later on in life. You could buy real estate and you could rent properties, but do you really want to be a landlord at this point in your life?
Right.
Because that's not freedom.
No.
Right? And now you're going to be answering calls in the middle of the night about water heaters or roofs or whatever for a little bit of income. I mean, basically an annuity, an income annuity, people have to understand it is not an investment. It's an insurance policy.
A contract.
It's a contract that says, you give me this money, I will pay you and your spouse this money for the rest of your life, guaranteed, even if the balance goes to zero. You know, we have a firm that we work very closely with out of Maryland, and they just shared a letter with me of a client of theirs that their annuity just went to zero. And they got the letter from the insurance company. It says, you know, your annuity balance has gone to zero. The insurance component of the annuity has kicked in, and we will continue to pay you the income until the day that you die.
Wow.
Right. I mean, so
that's a win.
It's a win. And, you know, we took a stance on annuities because when I learned about them 25 years ago, Rebecca, I couldn't believe that they weren't being used.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, this is the most underutilized tool ever in financial planning. Right. And so when I'm talking about annuities, a lot of people are under the impression like, well, this guy just sells annuities. No, we're a comprehensive fiduciary firm. Yeah. I can do anything I want, but I am not going to put you or your family in a situation to where I've got to come to you in 3 years and go, look, I know we've been taking 30 grand out of this market account, but it hasn't done what we thought it was going to do, and I need you to stop.
Right.
How's that going to feel?
Stop paying yourself.
What's that conversation going to feel like for me, for them? That's not going to be very good. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to go, we need to find another advisor.
Sure.
I want to build a plan for people that I know that if the market drops 50%, I say, keep living your life. That's why I want you to go to onthemoneyoffer.com right now. Drop whatever the heck you're doing. Your coffee, your cup, eating, newspaper, whatever it is, scan the QR code, start by getting a copy of the book. The book is such a simple read. I call it an airplane read. Why? Because 2-hour flight, you could be done with this book. But it is packed with information to give you the certainty and confidence to build a plan, to ask the right questions, to understand, to start to wrap your mind around how this is really done. Again, onthemoneyoffer.com or call 888-382-1298. The team is standing by to schedule your complimentary retirement session today.
And I want to go to an annuity question, if you don't mind, because we actually got one from Bethel Park. They said, we're thinking about getting annuities, but my brother had a variable annuity and he lost big time until his death. It's something we have avoided like the plague. If you say it's good, maybe we should dig deeper. I love that.
So I read a great line.
Right?
I'm shaking. Go ahead. You give your opinion. I'm shaking now.
I read a great line in a book recently, and it said, I'd rather be curious than smart. And that line stuck with me because
I love that.
I think it applies to what we deal with financial planning in the annuity.
Right.
Because, you know, you've been talking about the annuity on this show and throughout the airwaves for a long, long time now. And people are finally waking up and saying, wait a minute, that sounds like something that I'm trying to attain to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah, right.
Why is my advisor not offering something like that?
Yeah.
Now, to this folks' point,
George and
there
Diana.
are bad annuities out there.
Yes.
Variable annuities,
Yes.
which they mention,
Yes.
are bad annuities.
Yes.
Now, variable annuities are actually very seldom used today.
It's very seldom used.
They less than 10% of the annuities that are sold today are variable annuities.
Good, because people are waking up, I guess.
People
They're
are understanding.
learning. They're curious.
They're curious, right?
The variable annuity, hence the name variable.
Right, it varies.
It's invested in the stock market.
High risk.
It's high risk. It also has high fees. And here's why it has high fees. They call them M&E charges, mortality expense charges. Well, when you are promising a payment to somebody for the rest of their life, and you don't know how the account balance itself is going to perform because it's invested in the market, I'm going to need to charge you a higher premium in the form of that fee, right? That M&E fee, because I've got to protect myself as the insurer if that account doesn't perform. Because if it drops 50% and I still have to guarantee you this income, that means that account's going to go to zero real quick, and I didn't have time to make my money back. Right, as the insurer.
Right.
And this is why, if you're going to use annuities, use true income annuities that are indexed against the market, but not directly invested in the market, so you don't have downward exposure, right? Meaning the thing can only go up or sideways. That's it.
Your principal is protected. Like going, Patrick Kelly, one of the New York Times best-selling authors about retirement, he says, imagine going to a casino and playing blackjack, and every single hand you either push or win.
Yes.
How long would you stay at that table?
Forever.
Forever.
Yes. And that's exactly what you're describing. The indexed annuity does that. Let's say you have $100,000, okay, and the market does 10%. Well, the catch is this. They're not going to give you all 10%.
Right.
They're going to cap you. Let's say they cap you at 8. Yeah. So now your 100 goes to 108,000. But here's the difference. If that was in the market and the next year the market dropped by 50%, you're going down to what? 54,000. Thank you. 54,000. Right?
You did say he was quick.
I told you he was quick. 54,000. But in the annuity, you're staying at 108,000.
Protected.
You're staying at 108,000. You'll never lose what you gain. That is so powerful. And then on top of that, the insurance companies can then build a guaranteed stream of income for you at a smaller cost. So if you look at the fees on a variable annuity compared to an indexed annuity that's doing the same thing, generating income, it's like 80% less in fees.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's
80%.
up front, right? It's like kind of one time on the fixed index?
On the fixed index, typically you're going to run at what?
Somewhere between 1 and 1.5%.
And I would pay.
But it's not yearly fees. You've got your contract, you've got your personal pension.
Well, on an income annuity, it actually is a yearly fee for them to guarantee a lifetime income.
Yeah.
But the income, there's so much leverage in the income, the fee doesn't matter whatsoever.
It doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
And think about this. We're paying fees already, right? In our stock accounts. What are we paying for?
Good question.
Hopefully that someone outperforms the market for us.
Yeah.
At least I know in the annuity when I'm paying the fee, I'm getting a real benefit that actually impacts me, my spouse, right?
The end goal with the income annuity is that you outlive the money, right? And so the fee matters none because you outlive the money. You will continue getting the income. So the fee doesn't matter.
You want the income to go. You want the balance of that annuity to go to zero as quickly as
Because then you really win.
You really win. Now the insurance company's got to go into their pocket and start paying you, and that's what we teach people. Like, don't worry about it. We want a high yield payout. We want the highest yield payout we can get. Mm-hmm. And typically, if we can get a 12, 13, 14% yield, right, on a payout rate, and I can generate, and I can draw down that new annuity quick and get to zero, we start winning big time.
You keep more money in stocks.
You keep more money in stocks. I mean, it makes your whole retirement plan completely different, and it gives you peace of mind.
That's what I was going to say. Talk about mental
peace of mind,
health.
And what more do you want in retirement? I mean, do you really want to be waking up worrying about where my stocks are today? Are we going to be able to continue to take this money that we are taking? I mean, think about the psychological torture that you are going to go through with not knowing how your investments are performing, right? I mean, it's just insanity to me to think about building anything the other way. Look, I know what I'm doing in the stock market, okay? And I do buy a lot in the stock market. I buy a lot in crypto, right? And I will tell you right now, I also, what do I do every year? What do I buy? An annuity.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Every year. You want to know?
Like jewelry for Kate?
No. Every year I call him and I go, hey, run me a quote on the best annuity right now for Kate and I. And he'll come back and he goes, here's the top 3 for you right now. And I will write a check to that company. And every year we just keep buying them and buying them and buying them.
The funny thing about annuities that I've heard in the conference room too is, well, what if we don't live a long time? Well, first of all, the balance transfers to your beneficiaries. But my response is always, what if you do?
Yeah.
What if you do live?
What if you do live?
And
That's
you
a really
have
good
that
answer,
income
Neil.
continuing to come in. I mean, that's the way you want to plan. Not what if I die? No, what if you live?
Yes.
Where's your money? Where's your cash flow going to come from?
Right.
And that income annuity is going to pay you until you pass away.
And it's funny when anyone says, oh, I heard about the word annuity. It doesn't feel good. I don't like that word. Isn't every pension in the history of the world basically an annuity?
So is Social Security.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Social Security is an annuity. It's exactly what it is. Right.
And I've never had someone, I just heard this recently, I've never had someone, get a guaranteed lifetime pension and say, well, what if I need a new roof? You don't want all your eggs in one basket.
What if I die?
Yeah, what if I die? Yeah.
They
I don't want
care.
this pension. What
I don't
if I
want
die?
this pension. It's kind of crazy because people think, one, that your money's locked up in an annuity. It's not true. You can take your money out, right? Are there penalties in the earlier years? Yeah, but you can take your money out. Go for it. The annuities I've bought, I could take them out right now if I wanted to. I'll pay a little bit of a penalty. I don't care. If there was something better to go into than it, I would take the penalty and go to it, right? So you're not stuck. Right? People think you're stuck, like it's permanent, it's done. You can't ever move. They're just going to keep your money.
So you had said you'd pay a little bit of penalty. What if you were in stocks or bonds and the market went down?
I'm paying a huge penalty if I pull money out.
Yeah,
right?
exactly the same thing.
And this is why bucketing your money is so important. I know it sounds so simplified when we talk about bucketing your money, but when we bring up our Excel worksheets with people and we go through their income plan and we look at how much money they have while they're both working, we look at how much income they're going to have when they retire, and we see how much of a drop there is from when they're working to when they retire. So let's say when they were working, they were making $100,000 a piece, right? Or $100,000 total. But when they go to retire, their income drops to $60,000. You go, are you guys going to be able to live off 60?
Right.
They go, no way.
No.
We're going to need like 100, 120. Okay, well, there's our gap that we need to fill then. We're going to need $40,000 to $50,000. All right, well, where is the money at right now? I've got a 401k, I've got an IRA, I've got this life insurance policy. It's our job to take all of those statements and figure out how to piece this puzzle together properly. What's good, what's not good, what needs to be replaced, what needs to be improved, and now bring back what is a new optimized plan that gives them the cash flow that they need, that they won't run out of money, that optimizes their money in the market, takes out the worry about the volatility, right? And then also, a lot of people want to leave money to their kids.
Yeah.
And the other underutilized tool that nobody talks about is life insurance. It's the greatest tool in the world to leave massive amounts of wealth to your family. And nobody understands it. They think, I don't need life insurance at this age. You're crazy. You're crazy if you think that. Life insurance is your best friend. And when you start to educate yourself and understand it, you will say, Brian, you are right, man. You are right. And then I want you to write to me and tell me that I'm right. So go to onthemoneyoffer.com right now. Get a copy of my book. It's absolutely free. I promise you, it's life-changing information in there. Mark up all the margins, read it twice. But call 888-382-1298 and schedule your complimentary retirement session with my team today. I promise you, you will get a lot out of that meeting.
And part of the plan is estate. So what is your legacy? How do you leave that money in a smart way to your beneficiaries? I love my fixed index annuity because I know it's going to keep my family out of probate court.
That's right.
That's another.
Yeah. Annuities bypass probate because they have a beneficiary form, right? A lot of people.
Just a death certificate, done.
Yes, and the 5 biggest mistakes people make: their income, their taxes, their investments, their healthcare strategy, and their estate planning strategy. A lot of people don't realize that the majority of their assets typically have a beneficiary form. So annuities have beneficiary forms, whether it's IRA or non-IRA.
Okay.
IRAs have beneficiary forms, 401ks, 403bs. All of that money will pass based on what the beneficiary form says, not what your estate says, not what your will says, not what your trust says. If your beneficiary form, if you got divorced and you left your ex-spouse on the beneficiary form, but in your new will, you put, I want all my money to go to my new spouse, but your ex-spouse is still on your beneficiary form, guess where the money's going? The ex-spouse. Do you know how many people we've met over the years that have been disinherited by their family members because they never changed a beneficiary form? Is your advisor checking that stuff? Because these are the things that will make a huge difference. And Neil, this is one of your lines, and I love it. Little mistakes become big headaches, man.
For sure.
Little mistakes become big headaches. Go to onthemoneyoffer.com, get a copy of the book right now. Drop whatever you're doing. Call 1-888-382-1298. The team is standing by to take your call and get you scheduled for a retirement session.
And we only have 2 minutes left in the show, Neil, but I think it's so powerful, and we don't talk about it enough, honestly, that when you first come in for the complimentary review, you run third-party reports that you've invested in. You pay a lot of money to have these third-party reports. The baseline, you're such a person of facts and numbers, it will show you, like when I got my report, my risk was way higher than we realized. And the fees, I didn't know the fees.
Sure.
Talk about the power of just that alone coming in to get that baseline. Where am I?
mean, it's a second opinion, right?
Yeah.
So we obviously want to be efficient in our investments, right? So how much risk are you taking? What's the reward for that risk? You know, what rate of returns are you receiving? Really, no one knows their cost, right? So what are the costs of the portfolio? What are the costs of the advisor? And overall, the efficiency of the portfolio. It's one of the things that we touch on, right? But the bulk of the people, if they're working with an advisor, they're getting investment advice,
Right.
but nothing else.
Yeah.
Right.
No planning
And
advice.
so that's where a lot of their questions actually come in from, is they want to understand how to generate the income. They want to know if they have a tax problem. They want to know about healthcare. So it's the planning. And
I did a variable annuity. I know we got to go, but I did a variable annuity escape. That's what we call it. Okay. We've called the annuity company with the client on the phone, and we ask a number of questions. Number one is the income on this annuity joint? They told us no. Can you tell me how much the fee is? 2.5%. So on $1 million, the guy was paying $25,000 a year. I said, if you knew that you were paying $25,000 a year and it was only single income, would you have bought it? He says, hell no. And I'm going to tell you, those are the things that you need to find out. Go to onthemoneyoffer.com, get a copy of the book, and call 888-382-1298 to schedule.